Boris Johnson, the lovable, blithering idiot who we all love to see answer difficult questions regarding the monumental fuck-up in 2009 when a blizzard stopped London.
Given us not a single example of anything at all that you did to prepare for us.
Well, I think that's absolutely right, and I think this...
May I think Mr.
I'm afraid I'm under the sad obligation. I'm under the sad obligation of having to leave.
Can I ask a partisan question?
No, because I'm not. Okay.
No, that is unacceptable to walk out in the middle of the question.
Don't be fooled by this apparent harmless exterior. This is one sly, shrewd little shit. It's not just this kind of problem of avoiding responsibility that Londoners have to deal with. There is also the problem regarding Boris being at war with local councils to raise rents higher than the living wage of the residents, leaving the benefit system open to fraud and manipulation by corrupt businessmen who wish to cash in on the poverty-stricken locals who can get housing benefit to stay in those properties.
Hold on. Wait till you get the microphone.
You're about to do it, and I voted.
Sorry, just start again because you didn't have the microphone at the beginning. Just start again. It's all right. Go on.
I do apologise.
Go on. Now speak.
Okay. I voted Conservatives originally because I thought you were going to be the better chance for me and my children. You're about to cut tax credits after promising you wouldn't. I worked hard for my money to provide for my children, to give them everything they've got, and you're going to take it away from me and them. I can hardly afford the rent I have to pay. I can hardly afford the bills I've got to do, and you're going to take more from me.
All right.
Shame on you!
When it all goes wrong, well, we can blame the tenants, of course, for not accepting a right to buy scheme that will tackle the rent increases. That's right, you can buy your £300,000 flat with some help from Right to Buy, with less than £40 a day at best to pay it with. Islington Council took Boris the Bastard to court when he attempted to raise rents because it wasn't fair that the private tenants were paying more. The same private tenants being the kind of people who can lay down enough money to pay over £300,000 at least per property. In reality, it leads to eviction and poverty, and a night in this phone box when you have had enough of the bench. While Boris takes care of his constituents in Uxbridge, who have the luxury of the fast and the semi-fast Metropolitan line service to get the super rich residents out of the city during rush hour very quickly, there are people sleeping in their own piss, vomit and feces within disused phone boxes, begging outside of banks that get bailouts from the government and taxpayers. And when the shoeless and potless finally keel over due to the pollution, cold, abuse and ignorance of the super rich foreign money machine that is pricing people out of their homes in exchange for stacked up, unoccupied vaults paid for with laundered money, we end up with job agencies using the spotlight of austerity as an advertising board for jobs that just don't exist. Resentment is climbing high in London. Collective expressions are becoming visible that symbolise frustration, victimisation and persecution, all the ingredients needed for civil war, which will not target those who are carelessly destroying communities with their infinite wealth and greed. It will be diverted onto those who are already on the floor and shitting in phone boxes. During the imprisonment of IRA members in the 70s and 80s, there were various protests. One of them was called the Dirty Protest, which consisted of prisoners smearing their prison cells with their own shit in various pretty patterns. Humans are social animals, and animals, when exposed to unnatural conditions, react to the stress they are subjected to. In this alleyway in Aldgate, East London, just around the corner from the Corporation of London, also known as The City, we can see a gallery of artistic expression. Banksy, eat your heart out. This is the true voice of the people, an ironic take of which end of our bodies we mostly use to speak. The effort and thoughtfulness that went into such a great artistic accomplishment like this one is one I give full credit to. The Phantom Crapper clearly wanted to express his frustration of how these buildings that were recently built there are worth over $1 million per property, and had robbed him of all his options by holding onto the post adjacent to the wall with his hands and placing his feet onto the wall to ensure a powerful projectile was to smother the wall for all to see. We can expect to see more shit like this when we observe the history of the area of Tower Hamlets, an area of London that has a high immigration population, over 50% Bangladesh, and with a child poverty rate of over 55%, making it a target for stereotypes, dehumanization, villainization, social cleansing through economic coercion, and general human mistreatment. The local Liberal Democrat-controlled council during the 80s stood accused of creating an atmosphere in which Nazi ideas can grow. It is not just a case of a few racist leaflets or a few mavericks in the local party. Since the Liberals took office in 1986, there had been constant allegations of racism and corruption in Tower Hamlets. This racism is not casual or accidental, but blatant and provocative, and is a central plank of their operation in the area, both now and in the past. The Liberals are currently under fire for the same tactics just 2 days ago, on the 15th of October 2015. The trend has always been set to a low standard. Recently, the corrupt Lutfur Rahman was kicked out of the position of directly appointed mayor for Tower Hamlets after he was found to be associated with Islamic extremism and was dipping his fingers into the public purse for his own chauffeur and Mercedes-Benz. Arm's length management encouragement by the council has enabled bad management of social housing. Scandals such as Circle Housing Association failing to do repairs, of which the Homes and Communities Agency, or HCA, and their lawyers are attempting to resolve the situation. The 70,000 home organisation has breached the HCA's home standard, exposing tenants to the risk of serious harm. A HCA regulatory notice that was published revealed chronic and long-standing difficulties in Circle's repairs service in London, which covers 13,000 homes and is provided by Kia. Inside Housing has now learned that Islington Council is the local authority not named in the HCA notice, which has served a number of statutory notices on Circle for the repairs failures. The real problems in London and the UK in general lie in the government's cuts to fund local councils, forcing them to sell off properties to housing associations and land to private investors, which bumps up house prices and rents, leading to evictions from right to buy as tenants attempt to escape the clutches of corrupt housing associations who run estates into the ground in order to run tenants out and to build, refurbish and sell off their homes and land that could be used to build more council housing to private investors. One only has to look at the prices in this estate agent window to get an idea of how impossible it is to own a home in London and how the phone box becomes the only viable option, trapping people in Zone 1, using only the side of the expensive developments as a toilet and art gallery. This is reminiscent of the Highland clearances, or the expulsion of the Gael, which was the forced displacement during the 18th and 19th centuries of a significant number of people from traditional land tenancies in the Scottish Highlands, where they had practiced small-scale agriculture. It resulted from enclosures of common lands and a change from farming to sheep raising, an agricultural revolution largely carried out by hereditary aristocratic landowners. A Highland clearance has been defined as an enforced simultaneous eviction of all families living in a given area, such as an entire glen. How much shit are we prepared to swim in? Why should we care about an artificially sustained economy that does not suit the residents of the UK and which can only be supported with foreign money investors? Tower Hamlets is a premonition of what is to come from the government cuts. Councils and local parliament reps are undermined by the restrictions that are imposed by the likes of Callus Cameron and Boris the Bastard Johnson. Education plays an important role in solving these social issues, but given the levels of resentment and the blame culture UK politicians are igniting, we may sadly see more of the phantom shitter on our own doorsteps as we strip people of options and make it all their fault for trying to survive in an anarcho-capitalistic nightmare of artificial market sustainability and rogue traders seeking to exploit these unfortunate people through controlling housing, raising rents, taking housing benefit from those who can't afford to live there without it, until finally the nail gets driven into the coffin when the cuts hit the tenants and their homes are taken away, and then we all wait for them to die in Zone 1. Nice job, Britain. Well done. Let's start to rebuild the economy by valuing the shit on this wall that we will see in large numbers, as at least that is of real substance.